Hello.
Hey, Miss Wells.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Mr. Kamal. If you go on that channel, you should be able to see something right now.
Okay. Let me go. Okay, I'm here.
Okay, do you see anything on your screen?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's me talking to you right now, so I'm going to hang up and go through the report.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Miss Wells, obviously you can see me and hear me. This is a live webcast, and I want to go through some of your evidence and go over your expert witness report. Let me start with what we reviewed and what you presented to us. Essentially, what you told us is that you were abused and physically assaulted by 2 police officers, that you reported a complaint, and that you had hired a lawyer, that the lawyer took your case after being paid a retainer, and that he failed in his obligations to adequately represent you or properly represent you. Well, I want to break your case up into 2 parts. I also want to go over what evidence we collected, what we reviewed for my report. So let me start with some of the evidence and document files. And you have right now a Google Drive folder online which we can give you access to, and it has about 40 or so files in it, including your photographs and other items that you gave us. So I'm going to send you an email link so that you can access that folder to make sure that it's complete. If it's not complete, please let me know. In any event, I want to go ahead with the report and talk about the factual details we reviewed and what we discovered through our investigation of your complaint. I want to start with the documents. We reviewed 40 documents, 6 videos, approximately 30 legal filings. We also talked to several witnesses. Some of them I spoke with you about day before yesterday. We did attempt to track down the police officer. I want to show you that right now. You can actually listen to our conversation with him. But let me start first with what the police did to you, and I want to go over that day in some detail. You reported that on April 26, 2010, you contacted the Richland Police Department to report a burglary or a possible burglary at your home. The police officer arrived, Timothy Murphy. He talked to you. He also talked to a male friend who was there, and according to your story, which is different from the officer's report, you said that Mr. Robinson, the man who was there, was a friend, and that you asked him to leave, and he left. But he was actually there helping you, protecting your property while you waited for the officer, and once the officer got there, you told Mr. Robinson he could leave. Of course, Officer Smith tells a different story. He says in his report that he's the one that told Robinson to leave, that he was an unwelcome visitor, etc. We've looked into the case, and we believe your version of the event is much more likely to be what actually happened. And there are other discrepancies in the officer's report, which I will discuss with you in more detail later. For now, I want to go to the primary or the most alarming part of this incident. You reported that you were tasered severely for no reason. And I want to start with talking about that first, because from my review of the evidence, this is just completely unreasonable, the officer's use of force, based on my experience as a police officer and my analysis of the information I've been able to review. This officer, after apparently contacting you and contacting Mr. Robinson, demanded more information from you, and particularly he wanted to know what your relationship was to Mr. Robinson. Well, let me start by saying that you were under no obligation to say anything more to him, and if you wanted to leave, you should have been allowed to leave. At some point after your communication with the officer, you were tackled, you were pepper sprayed, and I want to go actually to some of your photographs because I have them on the screen. Just give me a moment. And you may not be able to see it as clearly on the screen right now, but your eyes are severely red from what happened to you. You also had a severe injury to your arm and your elbow, and you were knocked to the ground and essentially roughed up pretty badly by 2 police officers, and we have not been able to find any justification for what they were doing. So I want to play the actual video that we retrieved from the police department with your after your 911 call, and it's pretty alarming. And you've seen the video, I believe, at least once, and if you haven't, this will be your first time.
I'm gonna put you in the pose. In my shoe, in my pocketbook. I ain't gonna do nothing. You may see it. Yeah. Shit, stop me. Stop. Lay it. Larry, help me. Come on. Larry, help me. Larry, I said something, Larry. Go ahead, get in the car. We'll talk. Get in the car. Go ahead, get in the car. Get in the car. Let him cook in the car. Larry, I said something. We'll talk about it. Yeah, I know. We'll talk about it. I just called him because I want to see him. Who around here? Ask John to leave, Larry. Where's he at now? He's on the phone. And then he wanted to start that. I said, sir, I don't want to call you. I won't tell you nothing. So you better stay over here. She said, I know we got a person come around here. Just stay in the car. Whose head is that? Who's in the back seat? You know I don't get from that. You know I don't.
Okay, Ms. Wells, it goes on a bit longer, but that's the worst part of it. And based on my review of the evidence, these officers had no legal basis for what they were doing. And that's borne out by our investigation and our communication with the sheriff's office. We actually got Sheriff Larry Smith to speak with us at least 4 times. And I'm just going to play a moment of our conversation with him prior to our coming out to his office to interview him.
What time Thursday? I got a meeting to go to Thursday afternoon.
Can we do it in the morning, like at 10 o'clock?
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm free for that morning.
Okay, that'd be great. And I'll have Miss Shanks with me too. And have you spoke to Mr. Kamal about the incident?
I spoke with someone several weeks ago. I just remember who it was.
Okay, that was our conversation with the sheriff. He actually agreed to the interview. We also tracked down the officers who tasered you, Miss Wells. I apologize for the audio quality on this one because it's a little difficult to hear. There's like a background noise. We had no way of controlling that when we're doing undercover work. We just have to take the circumstances as they are. But we did find the officer. We told you we would track him down and ask him why he tasered you. This is Officer Ryan Smith. He has now been, let me actually back up. One of the primary pieces of evidence supporting your complaint is that the sheriff fired both officers. So I guess you might be wondering, and many people looking at this might wonder, what is this officer doing still being an officer? He was rehired by the next county over, and we wanted to know, what his explanation was for what he did on the night that you were tasered, Miss Wells. So we figured the best thing to do is to track him down and ask him. So here's what his response was, If you can't hear it, I will be enhancing the audio at a later date, but you'll be able to hear enough to know that he didn't want to answer the questions. This is our investigator, Mr. Miller, looking for the officer now.
Are they closed? Yeah, I just want to talk to Ryan Smith.
He's out here somewhere. I hear him right now.
Is that him?
Yes, sir. How y'all?
Hi, you Ryan Smith?
I am.
Hi, my name is Craig Miller. I'm with the organization called Police Complaints.
Let me holler back at you. The what now?
The Police Complaints Center.
Okay.
I'm doing the investigation on a complaint that was made with our organization. Remember Janice Wells?
Yeah. But I'm not going to talk to you.
You're not going to talk to me? Everybody else talks to me right down to the sheriff.
Well, that's fine. You can read everything.
I mean, we concluded that you may have made a poor decision, but not necessarily. Sure you don't want to talk about it?
I'm sure. I don't want the videotape either.
Well, we have the right to videotape, but we
Well,
won't.
we're on the sheriff's property, so y'all need
Yeah, it was public property, too. You sure you don't want to talk about it? All right.
Well, that's all he would say. He wouldn't talk. We tried multiple times, both by phone and in person, obviously. We also contacted the other officer, Timothy Murphy, who's now out of town working at a furniture store, we've been told, in Albany, Georgia. I want to move to the next phase of our investigation. After we established that you actually were the victim of police abuse, we had a second charge, which you gave us, which was to look into the conduct of your lawyer. And I got to tell you, as alarming as the video is of you being tasered, the conduct of your lawyer is just stunning. Let's start with what the lawyer actually did for you. You contacted attorney Gary Parker. You paid him a fee. You asked Mr. Parker to represent you. We actually looked into the record of his representation, and we found a number of problems. Essentially, based on the record we've reviewed of the court file, Attorney Parker didn't do anything. After he took your retainer and then hit you up for more money after that, we can look in the record and show that there's virtually no activity. Once the case was filed against the police officers, he made no effort to respond to their efforts to get out of the case, so they filed multiple motions to dismiss, which were approved by the court. I have all the dates. It's on the blog post. It lays out the case pretty simply. And we also took the timesheet from the court docket, and put that on your blog as well. And essentially it shows that from the date it was filed, there was no activity on the part of your lawyer, but a flurry of activity on the part of the other parties. And it gets worse, obviously, because you know about some of the things I'm going to say. We read some of the letters that your attorney wrote to you, and I think that most people are not going to believe what I'm about to read. This is a letter that your attorney wrote to you on May 2nd, essentially saying why he has to now leave your case. The interesting thing is that when he wrote this letter, as well as others, your case was already over. He was implying that he had given you good warning, that he told you what to do next, etc. He wrote another letter. Let me go back on April 2nd, and again he made up things that he just didn't do in your case. He states that he contacted the other lawyer, that he asked for them to give you time to find a new lawyer. We found no record of that anywhere. He also stated that he notified the court of your situation, and we found nothing to support that claim. But this is some of the most alarming material, and I'm going to go over it. Let me just switch to a new screen. It appears that your lawyer was attempting to frighten you into walking away from your case, and he did this by threatening you and making a number of really inappropriate suggestions about you. And I don't know if you've actually had a chance to view the documents yourself, but essentially he states in his letter that President Obama has angered people in the South, and that because of that issue, you should therefore drop your case. It's kind of some of the strangest behavior I've ever seen in a lawyer, and I actually want to read to you. Just give me a moment to try to pull this up so I can get it expanded. He tried to get you to drop the case by saying that you were an adulterer and a fornicator. Now, this is the year 2013, and I just don't believe anyone's going to find this kind of language acceptable, so let me just read directly what he wrote. As a believer in God and an ordained minister, and a person committed to doing my best to do His will, I know... Testing, 1, 2. My sound's still up. Okay, great. The sound's still going. All right. I know that we should never expect any good to come out of doing wrong. What I did not know from the very beginning is the fact that you have been involved in an extramarital relationship with John Robinson for nearly 30 years. While that fact may be your personal business, it has a devastating impact on the viability of your case. Plainly stated, this event was triggered out of an adulterous affair, and for those who understand the wrongfulness of it, like God, the defendants, and the jury, you will not be rewarded with money. Stated another way, it may be okay with you, but most other people do not hold that view. Now, he was essentially chastising you for whatever he thinks your personal relationship is to John Robinson. It's completely inappropriate. It has nothing to do with your case, and it's none of his business. Let me move on to a second equally bizarre or strange comment from this lawyer made in writing. He goes on to say, I want you to clearly understand that the conclusion of this matter is just what I told you earlier. Both the counsels of Richland and Lumpkin are predominantly African American. If they did not have any compassion or support for your claims, you had no chance with a very conservative, intelligent, Republican Southern white judge. The anger these people have with President Obama is also prevalent on their minds. And he made other crazy, bizarre statements. And I need not go into all of them, but suffice to say that, this guy did things that most lawyers would never do, and why he thought you would tolerate it, I don't know. Maybe he thought you wouldn't be able to go on the internet and check what he had done in terms of the work on your case. Maybe he thought that you're politically naive and you might be intimidated because you live in the South, so you would actually believe some of this garbage. But in any event, we found it sufficient to prove your claim that your lawyer had engaged in inappropriate conduct and that he had severely damaged your case, and that's what I say in my report online. I just want to go to one further piece of evidence and video, and that is your interaction with the attorney. In addition to tracking the police officer down, we also tracked down attorney Gary Parker because we wanted to ask him, what he had to say about the things he said to you in these letters that I just described. So let me just go to that video now.
That drove off in that pickup truck?
I don't think so.
It says private property.
Okay, and that's you, Miss Wells, in the car with our investigator. And you're now pulling into Gary Parker's driveway.
I don't want to park. Is that him?
That's him.
You want to talk to him?
Yeah. Let me go and talk to him first. You just be cool.
All right, I'll just sit here.
You got to go too, don't
Oh,
you?
I'll go with you.
You gonna video camera?
Yeah, he just shut the door.
Huh?
He's got the back door open. Might as well jump out. He's at the back door. I'm Mr. Miller. I'm a journalist with policeabuse.com. I'm here with her.
Get that camera and get off my property.
Okay.
Get that camera and get the fuck off my property now. Fuck off.
All right, let's go.
If you videotape my property, tell me what, I got something for you. Get
What?
off my property.
All right, I'm out here.
You don't want to talk to me? I don't want to know. What?
Okay, as you can see, that's all we could get out of Attorney Parker. He didn't have any answers or any statements to make. I have more evidence, Ms. Wells, that I'll include in my official report. For now, I wanted you to see the primary pieces of evidence that we have in your case and, again, go over our conclusion. We've confirmed your complaint of police misconduct. We believe you were wrongfully treated by the Richland and Lumpkin police departments. And we also believe that Attorney Gary Parker mismanaged and mishandled your case, and we believe he did so deliberately. We are going to be presenting this video as well as a second video to the Georgia Bar Association. I don't know if you've gotten the form yet. I know you were going to get it in the mail. As we spoke about it the other day, please call me or let me know when you receive the form from the Georgia Bar. And this is the conclusion of my report. Take care.